The transport ship Orion 9 moved quietly through deep space. It was a normal civilian ship. No weapons, no soldiers, no danger. At least, that's what everyone believed. Inside the ship, people were relaxed. Some were talking. Some were eating. Some were looking out the window at the stars. Soft lights filled the hallway. Machines hummed gently. Everything felt safe. Too safe. In the middle of this calm place sat a man who did not belong there. Sergeant Ethan Cole. A human. A war veteran. Special Forces. But on the system screen, his identity said something very different. Civilian maintenance worker. A small mistake. A simple paperwork error. No one noticed it. No one questioned it. But that small mistake was about to change everything. Ethan sat alone near the wall. His body looked relaxed, but his eyes were not. They moved slowly, watching, scanning, doors, corners, people, shadows. He noticed everything. Years of war had trained him that way. A loud laugh came from a nearby group. One of the ship officers was joking with passengers. "Don't worry," the officer said with a smile. "This route is completely safe. Nothing ever happens here." People smiled. Some even laughed. But Ethan didn't react. He kept watching, because in his experience, something always happens. Then the lights flickered. Just once. Very quick. Most people didn't even notice it. But Ethan did. His eyes narrowed slightly. His fingers tightened. Something was wrong. He slowly stood up. Not fast. Not sudden. Just enough to be ready. A woman nearby looked at him. "Is something wrong?" she asked softly. Ethan paused for a moment. Then he gave a short answer. "I don't know yet." Seconds passed. Then everything went back to normal. Lights steady. Sounds calm. People relax again. The officer laughed. "See? Just a small glitch." But Ethan didn't sit down. He kept standing, waiting, listening. Then the ship alarm exploded through the hallway. "Warning! Warning! Unauthorized boarding detected." The calm disappeared instantly. People screamed. Some dropped their things. Others froze in fear. Red lights started flashing. Doors slammed shut automatically. The ship's voice repeated again and again. "Security breach. Security breach." Panic spread fast. A man grabbed his child. A woman started crying. "No, no, this can't be happening," someone whispered. Ethan's face became serious. Now he knew this was not a glitch. Heavy footsteps echoed from the far end of the hallway. Slow, strong, not human. The sound grew louder. Then they appeared. Aliens. Tall, muscular, covered in dark armor. Their skin looked rough and gray. Their eyes glowed red. And in their hands, weapons. Advanced, deadly. One of them raised his weapon and fired into the ceiling. The loud blast made everyone scream. "Down!" one alien shouted in a harsh voice. The civilians quickly dropped to the floor. Hands up, faces full of fear. No one resisted. They couldn't. They were not soldiers. They were not trained. They were just ordinary people. Ethan slowly moved back into the shadows. He watched carefully, counted them. 1, 2, 3, 4. More were coming. This was not a small attack. This was planned. One alien grabbed an older man and threw him to the ground. The man cried in pain. "Please, don't hurt me." Another alien pointed a weapon at a group of women. "Stay still." Tears rolled down their faces. Fear was everywhere. And still, no one fought back, because no one could, except one man. Ethan took a slow breath. His heart was steady. His mind was clear. This feeling, this situation, it was not new to him. War had shown him worse. He looked around again. No security team. No defense system active. No soldiers. Only civilians. Only fear. And him. A man who was never supposed to be here. A mistake. A wrong assignment. Ethan whispered quietly to himself. They put me in the wrong place. He looked at the aliens again. One of them pushed a young man to the ground. Another aimed a weapon at a child. Ethan's eyes changed. Cold, focused, dangerous. But they also picked the wrong ship. He slowly stepped back into a side corridor. silent, invisible. The chaos behind him grew louder. Screams, orders, fear. But Ethan moved away from it, not to escape, but to prepare. He walked carefully, checking every corner. Then he saw something. A body, a ship security officer, lying still, unmoving. Ethan knelt down quickly. The officer was gone, but his weapon was still there. Ethan picked it up, checked it fast, loaded, ready. Now everything had changed. He stood up slowly, his breathing calm, his hands steady. The scared civilian was gone. Now, the soldier was back. In the distance, alien voices echoed through the ship. They believed they were in control. They believed this would be easy. They were wrong. Very wrong. Ethan moved forward into the dark hallway, silent as a shadow, deadly as war itself. And somewhere behind him, a group of civilians sat on the cold floor, shaking in fear, not knowing that their only hope was already hunting.
The hallway was dark now. Only emergency lights were on. Red and blue colors flashed across the metal walls. The ship no longer felt safe. It felt like a trap. Ethan Cole moved slowly through the narrow corridor. His steps were silent. His breathing was controlled. The rifle in his hands felt familiar, comforting, like he had never left the battlefield. Distant voices echoed through the ship. Alien voices, sharp, cold, commanding. They were spreading out, taking control of every section. Ethan stopped near a corner. He pressed his back against the wall. Then he listened. Footsteps, heavy, slow, coming closer. One alien, maybe alone. Ethan lowered his body slightly. His grip tightened on the weapon. His eyes locked on the corner ahead. Seconds felt longer. The footsteps grew louder. Closer, closer. Then, the alien stepped into view. Tall, armed, alert, but not alert enough. Ethan moved first. Fast, precise. He grabbed the alien's weapon before it could fire, pulled it down, then struck hard. The alien tried to react. Too late. A quick shot. A short sound. Then silence. The alien dropped to the floor. Gone. Ethan caught the body before it hit the ground. He lowered it quietly. No noise. No signal. Nothing to warn the others. He dragged the body into the shadows. Then he checked the weapon again. More advanced than human tech, but simple enough to use. Ethan adjusted his grip. Now he had two weapons, and the advantage of surprise. He looked down the corridor. Still clear, but not for long. Somewhere far away, a loud crash echoed, followed by a scream. A human scream. Ethan's jaw tightened. He started moving again. Faster now. More focused. He followed the sound. Turned left. Then right. The ship layout formed in his mind. Every path. Every door. Every possible fight. Then he saw them. 3 aliens. Standing in a wide hallway. Holding a group of civilians. Men. Women. 1 child. All on their knees. Hands up. Crying. One alien stepped forward and pointed its weapon at a man. The man shook badly. Please, please. The alien didn't care. Ethan watched from the shadows. 3 enemies. Too many for a direct attack. He needed a plan. He looked around quickly. Above them, a panel. Loose wiring. Sparks. Unstable. Ethan aimed carefully. Took a breath. Then fired. The shot hit the panel. Electric sparks exploded. Lights burst. The hallway filled with smoke and flashing light. The aliens reacted instantly. Confused. Distracted. That was enough. Ethan moved. Like lightning. He rushed forward through the smoke. The first alien turned. Too slow. Ethan fired. 1 shot. Down. The second alien raised its weapon. Ethan rolled to the side. Fired again. Hit. The third alien grabbed a civilian and used him as a shield. Stop, it shouted. Ethan froze for a second. His eyes locked on the alien. The civilian was shaking, terrified. This was not easy, but Ethan stayed calm. He spoke softly. Let him go. The alien tightened its grip. No. Silence filled the hallway. Then, Ethan moved slightly to the left. Just enough. A small opening appeared. One chance. One shot. He pulled the trigger. The bullet flew fast. Straight. Clean. It hit the alien's head. The body dropped. The civilian fell free. Safe. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then the civilians realized what just happened. You saved us, one woman said, her voice shaking. Ethan didn't smile. Stay here, he said. Don't move. But stay low. Stay quiet. They nodded quickly, fear still in their eyes. But now something else was there too. Hope. Ethan turned away. He didn't wait. Didn't slow down. Because he knew. This was just the beginning. Somewhere else on the ship, more aliens were moving. And now, they would start noticing. 3 soldiers gone. No report. No signal. That would raise questions. Ethan walked back into the dark corridor, his mind already planning the next move. Behind him, the civilians whispered quietly. Who is he? I don't know. He's not just a civilian. No. One man looked toward the dark hallway where Ethan disappeared. He's something else. Far away, deep inside the ship, an alien commander stood still, looking at a screen. 3 signals had just vanished. Gone. Just like that. The commander's eyes narrowed. This is not normal. He turned to his soldiers. Something is here. Something dangerous. Back in the shadows, Ethan checked his weapon again. His face calm. His eyes sharp. The fear was no longer one-sided. The chaos had changed direction. Now, the hunter was inside the ship, and the aliens were no longer alone. The ship was no longer quiet, but the noise had changed. Before, it was full of fear, human fear. Now, something else was growing. Confusion, uncertainty, and slowly fear from the other side. Deep inside the ship, the alien commander stood still in front of a glowing screen. 3 signals were gone. No message. No warning. Just gone. That was not normal. His jaw tightened. This ship was not supposed to resist, he said in a low voice. One of his soldiers spoke carefully. Commander, maybe a hidden defense system? The commander shook his head. No, this is different. He looked at the screen again. Something is moving inside our lines. Back in the dark corridors, Ethan Cole moved like a shadow. Silent, focused, watching everything. He stopped near a broken door. Inside, 2 civilians hid behind a metal table. A young boy and his mother. Their faces were pale. Their hands were shaking. Ethan raised his hand slowly. Stay quiet, he whispered. They nodded quickly. The boy looked at him with wide eyes. Are you a soldier? He asked softly. Ethan paused for a second. Then he gave a simple answer. Not today. He moved on. The hallway ahead was darker, more dangerous. He could feel it. Then he heard something. Voices. Alien voices. But this time, they sounded different. Lower. Less confident. 3 units lost. No contact. Not possible. Ethan listened carefully. Good. They were starting to feel it. He moved closer. Slow. Careful. 3 aliens stood near a control panel, checking systems, talking fast. One of them kept looking behind, nervous. Ethan's eyes narrowed. Fear had started. He picked his position, took a breath, then acted. The first alien fell before it could speak. A clean shot. The second turned quickly. Ethan was already moving. Another shot. Another fall. The third alien stepped back, raising its weapon. But its hands were not steady. Fear slowed it down. That was enough. Ethan fired once more. Silence. 3 more gone. He didn't stop. Didn't celebrate. Just moved again. Because now, time was running. Elsewhere on the ship, the commander received the update. 6 soldiers gone. Now it was clear. This was not an accident. This was a threat. Lock all sections, the commander ordered. Find the human. His soldiers hesitated. Commander, we don't know where it is. The commander's voice turned cold. Then search everywhere. Back in the corridors. Heavy doors began to close. Paths blocked. Routes cut off. Ethan noticed immediately. They're reacting, he said quietly. Good. That meant pressure was working. But it also meant less time. He turned into a narrow maintenance tunnel. Small. Tight. perfect for moving unseen. As he crawled forward, he heard something above him. Footsteps. Fast. More than before. They were hunting now. But they didn't know. They were still the ones being hunted. Ethan reached a small exit and looked out. A large cargo room. Dim lights. And more civilians. Held together. Guarded by 4 aliens. Too many for a fast attack. Ethan studied the room carefully. Crates. Shadows. Metal chains hanging from the ceiling. Then he saw it. A control switch near the wall. For the cargo lift system. Heavy equipment. Dangerous if used right. Ethan moved quietly along the edge. Staying low. Staying hidden. One alien walked closer to his position. Ethan waited. The alien passed. Too close. But still unaware. Ethan reached the control switch. He looked at the ceiling. Heavy cargo suspended above. Perfect. He pressed the button. For 1 second nothing happened. Then, the system activated. Loud metal sounds filled the room. The aliens looked up, confused. Too late. The cargo dropped, crashing down with massive force. 2 aliens were crushed instantly. The room shook. Dust filled the air. The other 2 aliens shouted in panic. Ethan moved through the chaos. Fast. Silent. 2 quick shots. 2 more down. The room went quiet again. The civilians stared at him in shock. One man whispered, "Is he even human?" Ethan looked at them. "You're safe for now," he said. "For now." They're not done yet. Fear returned to their faces. But this time, it was mixed with belief. Belief that someone could fight back. Ethan turned away again. Always moving. Always thinking. Far away, the alien commander slammed his hand on the console. 8 soldiers lost. His voice was no longer calm. It carried anger. And something deeper. Fear. This is not just a human. He looked at the screen again. Tracking movement. Patterns. Precision. Then he understood. This one is trained. Back in the shadows, Ethan reloaded his weapon. His face calm. His eyes sharp. This was no longer survival. This was control. The ship was changing. The balance was shifting. The aliens came as hunters. But now, they were the ones being hunted. And somewhere in the darkness, a single human moved silently, turning their perfect mission into a nightmare. The ship felt different now. Not just damaged, controlled. But not by the aliens anymore. Deep inside the command section, the alien leader stood in silence. His soldiers were no longer talking. No more confident voices. Only short, careful reports. Low, uneasy. 12 units lost. No visual on the human. Movement unpredictable. The commander slowly looked up. His red eyes burned brighter. "This is not chaos," he said quietly. "This is strategy." The room went silent. He walked closer to the central screen. It showed the ship map. Sections flashing. Doors locked. Signals moving. But one signal, one pattern, did not follow anything normal. It moved with purpose. Not random. Not afraid. The commander touched the screen. Zoomed in. Watched the path again. Then he understood. He is guiding us. One soldier looked confused. "Commander." The commander turned slowly. "We are not hunting him." A pause. "He is hunting us." Silence filled the room again. That truth was heavy. Hard to accept. But impossible to ignore. Back in the lower levels of the ship, Ethan Cole stood still in a narrow hallway. He was not moving now. Not hiding. Just thinking. His breathing was slow. His mind was faster than ever. He had seen enough. The aliens were changing tactics. They were grouping together. Locking areas. Trying to control movement. Smart. But predictable. Ethan looked at a wall panel beside him. Then he opened it. Inside, wires and circuits glowed softly. He studied them for a moment. Then he started working. Carefully. Quickly. He cut one wire. Then another. The lights above him flickered. Then went dark. One more move. And a nearby door unlocked. Ethan stepped back. Perfect. He was no longer just fighting. He was shaping the battlefield. Elsewhere, alien soldiers moved in groups now, 4 at a time, weapons ready, eyes scanning every corner. But something was wrong. Doors opened without warning. Lights turned off suddenly. Sounds echoed from empty halls. Nothing made sense. One soldier stopped. "Commander, the ship is not stable." The commander's voice came through the communicator. "It is not the ship." A pause. "It is him." The soldier swallowed, fear growing inside. Back in the shadows, Ethan moved again. But slower now, more controlled. He was not rushing anymore. He didn't need to. The pressure was already working. He reached a higher level, near the command section. This was the center, the heart of control. He stopped at a corner, listened. More guards. Better armed. Better trained. Good. That meant he was close. He leaned slightly and looked ahead. A wide hallway. For aliens guarding the main door. No civilians here. Only soldiers. This would not be easy. Ethan stepped back into the shadows. Closed his eyes for a second. Then opened them again. Calm. Focused. He looked up. Ceiling panels. Vent system. Narrow but possible. Without wasting time, he climbed silently. Opened the vent. Slipped inside. Dark. Tight. But perfect for surprise. He moved slowly through the metal tunnel. Below him, the guards shifted positions. Watching the hallway. Waiting. But looking the wrong way. Ethan reached the point above them. He stopped. Checked his weapon. Then waited. Timing mattered now. Everything mattered. Below, one guard moved slightly away. Another turned his head. Small gaps. Small mistakes. That was all Ethan needed. He dropped down fast. No warning. No sound. The first guard fell instantly. The second tried to react. Too late. 2 quick shots. 2 bodies down. The remaining guards turned in panic. Ethan moved between them. Fast. Controlled. 1 strike. 1 shot. Then silence again. For guards gone. The door to the command section stood in front of him. Closed. Locked. Ethan walked up to it. Placed his hand on the panel. Then forced it open. Sparks flew. The door slid open slowly. Inside, the commander was waiting. Not afraid. Not surprised. Just watching. "You took your time," the commander said. Ethan stepped inside. Weapon ready. Eyes locked on the target. "You've been busy," Ethan replied calmly. The commander studied him, from head to toe. Then nodded slightly. "Yes, now I see." A pause. "You are not a mistake." Ethan said nothing. The room was quiet. Heavy. Full of tension. The commander stepped forward slowly. "We planned this mission perfectly," he said. "No resistance. No threat." His voice turned darker. "Then you appeared." Ethan's grip tightened slightly. "You picked the wrong ship," he said again. The commander smiled faintly. "No." A pause. "We picked the wrong human." Silence. 2 warriors. 2 minds. One final fight coming. Outside, the ship remained unstable. Lights flickering. Systems failing. But inside this room, everything had become simple. Clear. This was the endgame. And only one would walk out. Ethan took a step forward. The commander raised his weapon. Neither of them hesitated now. Because both knew. This was not just a fight. This was a test. Human versus alien. Hunter versus hunter. And in the cold silence of space, the final move was about to begin. The command room was silent. Too silent. Red warning lights flashed slowly across the walls. The air felt heavy, like the whole ship was holding its breath. Ethan Cole stood near the broken doorway, his weapon steady, his eyes locked on the alien commander. The commander stood in the center of the room, tall, strong, calm, not like the others. This one was different, smarter, more dangerous. For a few seconds, neither of them moved. No sudden action. No wasted motion. Both were waiting, watching, learning. Then, the commander made the first move. Fast. Faster than any alien Ethan had seen before. He raised his weapon and fired. Ethan reacted instantly. He rolled to the side. The blast hit the wall behind him. Metal exploded. Sparks flew. Ethan fired back. 2 quick shots. The commander moved smoothly. Dodge both. Not easy. Not normal. Ethan's eyes narrowed. This was not going to be simple. The commander rushed forward, closing distance. Ethan stepped back, firing again. The shots forced the commander to slow down, but only for a moment. Then the commander grabbed a metal table and threw it forward. Hard. Fast. Ethan barely avoided it. The table crashed into the wall behind him. The room shook. Now they were close. Too close for long shots. The commander swung his arm. Ethan blocked it, but the force pushed him back. Strong. Very strong. Ethan felt it in his arms. This alien was built for war. The commander attacked again. Punch. Strike. Grab. Each move fast and heavy. Ethan moved carefully. Blocking. Dodging. Countering. His training guided every step. No panic. No fear. Only focus. The commander tried to grab him again. Ethan twisted away, then struck back. A sharp hit to the side. The commander stepped back slightly. Not hurt much, but surprised. "You fight well," the commander said. Ethan didn't answer. He moved again. Quick. Precise. 2 strikes. 1 shot. The commander blocked one, took the other, and dodged the shot. But now, he knew something. This human was not just skilled. He was controlled. Every move had purpose. The commander smiled slightly. "This is why your kind is feared," he said. Ethan's voice was calm. "This is why your mission failed." The commander's eyes flashed. Anger. Now the fight became faster. More aggressive. The commander charged again. Ethan met him head-on. The two clashed in the center of the room. Metal hit metal. Weapons struck and blocked. Shots fired at close range. Walls broke. Panels shattered. The command room turned into a battlefield. At one moment, the commander grabbed Ethan and threw him across the room. Ethan hit the wall hard. Pain shot through his body. But he didn't stop. He stood up immediately, ignoring the pain. The commander walked forward slowly. "You are strong," he said, "but you are only one." Ethan wiped a small line of blood from his face. "Only one is enough." The commander roared and charged again. This time, Ethan didn't move back. He stepped forward, right into the attack. At the last second, he shifted his body. The commander's strike missed. Ethan turned, fired at close range. The shot hit the commander's armor, cracked it. Not fully through, but enough. The commander staggered for a moment. That was the opening. Ethan moved fast. One more strike. Another shot. This time, the armor broke. The commander stepped back, breathing heavier now. For the first time, he felt it. Pain. Real pain. Ethan raised his weapon again. Steady. Unshaking. The commander looked at him. No more anger now. Only respect. "So this is human strength," Ethan said quietly. "No, this is human will." Silence filled the room again. Then, the commander made one final move. A last attack. All his strength. All his speed. But Ethan was ready. He stepped aside, turned, and fired. One clean shot. Direct. Final. The commander stopped, frozen for a second. Then slowly, he fell. The room became silent. No more movement. No more fight. It was over. Ethan stood there, breathing steady, weapon still raised, waiting, just in case. But nothing came. The battle was done. Outside, the ship slowly grew quiet. No more alien voices. No more attacks. Only silence. Ethan lowered his weapon. His body felt heavy now, tired, but still standing. He looked around the broken command room. Fire sparks. Damaged walls. Fallen enemy. Then he turned toward the exit. The civilians were still out there. Still waiting. Still hoping. Ethan walked out slowly. The fight was over. But the story was not. The ship was quiet again. Not peaceful, but quiet. The red warning lights still flashed on the walls, but slower now. The alarms had stopped. The fighting was over. For the first time since the attack began, there were no screams. No gunfire. No alien voices. Only silence and the sound of people breathing again. Ethan Cole walked through the damaged corridor. His steps were slower now. Not weak, just tired. The fight had taken a lot from him, but he kept moving. Because he knew there were still people waiting. Still people afraid. As he turned a corner, he saw them. The same group of civilians from before. Still sitting on the cold floor. Still holding each other. But now, they were not crying. They were watching, waiting, hoping. When they saw Ethan, no one spoke at first. They just stared, as if they were not sure if this was real. Then the young boy slowly stood up. His small voice broke the silence. "Is it over?" Ethan looked at him for a moment. Then he gave a small nod. Yes. That one word changed everything. The tension broke. A woman started crying again, but this time not from fear. From relief. A man covered his face with his hands. Another person let out a long breath, like they had been holding it forever. The boy stepped closer to Ethan. "You saved us." Ethan didn't answer right away. He looked around at all of them, shaken, scared, but alive. "That's enough," he said quietly. More people started to stand now, slowly, carefully, as if the danger might come back at any second. But it didn't. It was truly over. Far above, outside the ship, small lights appeared in the darkness of space. Rescue ships. They had received the distress signal. They were coming fast. Back inside, Ethan leaned lightly against the wall. Just for a second. His body needed rest. But his mind was still alert. Always alert. Footsteps approached from the other side of the hallway. Not alien. Human. Rescue team. Armed. Ready. Careful. They stopped when they saw the civilians. Then their eyes moved to Ethan. One of them stepped forward. What happened here? The civilians looked at each other. No one knew where to begin. Finally, one man spoke. It happened. The rescue officer looked confused. Who? The man pointed at Ethan. Him. The officer turned fully toward Ethan now. Studied him. His clothes. His weapon. His calm face. This ship had no military support, the officer said slowly. Ethan didn't respond. Another rescuer checked a device. Sir, I'm reading multiple alien casualties across the ship. The officer's eyes widened slightly. How many? The answer came quietly. All of them. Silence followed. The officer looked back at Ethan. Now, with a different expression. Not confusion. Not doubt. Respect. Who are you? He asked. Ethan paused for a moment. Then he answered simply. Just a passenger. The officer almost smiled, but didn't. Because he knew that was not the truth. Minutes later, the ship was under full rescue control. Civilians were escorted safely. Medical teams moved quickly. Systems were being repaired. And, in the command center, a group of high-ranking officers reviewed the ship logs. They watched the recordings. Hallway by hallway. Fight by fight. Every move. Every action. Every moment where one man changed everything. The room was silent as the final footage ended. One officer leaned back slowly. That's not possible. Another shook his head. It is. A third officer opened Ethan's file. Then stopped. Confused. This says he's a civilian worker. The first officer gave a short, dry laugh. That's not a civilian. He looked at the screen again. That's a weapon. Later, as the rescue ships prepared to leave, Ethan stood near the exit gate. No attention. No spotlight. Just another person waiting to go. The young boy from earlier ran up to him. Wait. Ethan turned. The boy held something small in his hand. A simple metal badge. From the ship. You should have this, the boy said. Ethan looked at it. Then at the boy. Why? The boy smiled a little. So you remember, you saved us. Ethan took the badge slowly. Held it for a moment. Then nodded once. Take care, he said. The boy nodded back. Then ran to his mother. Ethan turned and walked toward the exit. No more words. No more questions. Just silence again. But this silence was different. It carried message. A message that would travel far, beyond this ship, beyond this system, across the galaxy. A simple truth. Humans are not easy to understand. They can look calm, even weak, even harmless. But when it matters, When everything is on the line, they become something else, something dangerous, something unstoppable. And from that day forward, one warning spread among many worlds. Never underestimate a human, because sometimes all it takes is one mistake to turn a peaceful mission into a nightmare.